The table shows the voting results of the mayor election in a small town between candidates Smith and Jones. The small town has two polling places, one in the North District and one in the South District. So then here we have a table and we need to figure out which statement is true. So before we look at the statements, let's look at and interpret our table. So if we look down the columns, we have our two candidates. We have Smith, we have Jones, and then we have a column for total. Across our rows, we have our districts. So we have the North Districts and the South Districts, and then we have another column for total. So if we follow the table, if we look at this cell that says 21, this is telling me the number of people in the North District that voted for Smith. The 135 is the number of people in the South District that voted for Smith. The 156 here is the total number of votes that Smith received in both the North District and the South District combined. Then the same thing goes for Jones. If we look here, the 39, if we follow our table, our columns and our rows, 39 is the number of votes Jones received in the North District. 45 is the number of votes that Jones received in the South District. And 84 is the total number of votes that Jones received. If we read across our rows, these totals here, there were 60 total votes from the North District. There were 180 total votes from the South District. And then overall, 240 people voted in this election. So now that we've interpreted the table, let's see which statement is true. A says Jones won the election with 65% of the total vote. So if we look at Jones, Jones got a total of 84 votes, and there were 240 total people that voted in the election. So to figure out what percent of the votes Jones got, we have to take Jones' votes, which is 84, and divide it by the total number of votes, 240. And then multiply by 100 to turn it into a percentage. So when we do that, we get 35. So Jones got 35% of the votes in the election, which means that letter A is not the correct answer. Jones did not win the election with 65% of the total vote. The math doesn't add up. B says Smith won 75% of all votes from the South District. So if we look at the South District, we want to read across the row here. So Smith got 135 votes in the South District. There were a total of 180 votes in the South District. So we're going to take the votes that Smith got in the South, which was 135, and divide them by the total number of votes in the South District, which was 180. Then we multiply by 100 to get a percent. And when we do that, we see that B is true. Smith did get 75% of all the votes from the South District, which means that B is going to be our answer because it is true. But let's keep going. Let's see why C and D are incorrect. So C said voters' choices are independent of the district in which they voted. That one is incorrect. When you have an election, certain people campaign in certain areas. So voters' choices are dependent of the district in which they voted. And then the last one says support for Jones was proportionally higher in the South District than in the North District. So let's look at that. In the South District, Jones got 45 of 180 total votes. So 45 divided by 180 is 0.25, which means Jones got 25% of those votes. If we look at the North District, Jones got 39 of these 60 total votes. 39 divided by 60 is 0.65. So letter D is incorrect because we just showed by doing the math that the support for Jones was proportionally higher in the North District as opposed to the South. So letter D is not correct.